Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories, shall we? The first story is called It Is Still Too Cold. I used to be a server at a locally owned stir-fry restaurant. It was an okay place to work, everything was really relaxed. Like I saw the bag and wouldn't eat there myself, sort of relaxed. It was also really shady. We used to joke it was run by the Chinese mafia for various reasons. I also worked with some lifers. Now, if you have served, you know these women, and for those of you that haven't, a lifer is someone who has been a server their entire life. Usually they have even been serving at the same place for decades. Some are nice and great to work with, but most of the time they are really horrible, crappy, just unhappy people. They have their way of doing things and want everyone to do it exactly the same. If they do not like you, they will make your life hell, and if you stick it out, they will usually try to manipulate the managers into firing you. Usually the managers know what's going on and just put you on different shifts, but anyway. I had one woman at this place that was always on my case about every little detail. I got along amazingly well with the rest of the staff, and they usually stood up for me when she tried to get me in trouble, but one day it was just me, her and one other server who was new. My shift was ending, so I did my side work, including changing the water buckets that held the racks we used to wipe tables, and then set to raw silver. When I hear it. The water in the serving station is cold. I know it wasn't, since I had just changed it out, but I get up and change it again, not wanting to argue. It's still cold, change it right. So I get up, go over, make sure the water from the tap is nice and hot, fill the bucket and go back to my rolling. The water is still cold, change it right or I will have the manager write you up. Cue malicious compliance. The water that we brew coffee in gets well over 200 degrees, but she wants the water hot. So I go up and fill the bucket directly out of the big industrial coffee brewer. I set it down and go back to my rolling after giving a warning to the new girl to give the water time to cool. About 2 minutes later, I hear a scream. Miss Lifer had plunged her whole hand into the water. Now, she didn't get super burned, but she got one hell of a scalding, and her hand was a lovely shade of pink. Even the manager, who knew what was going on, told her, "Well, you said it wasn't hot enough." She brought her boyfriend in the next few days to eyeball me and played the stupid intimidation game that ended up with him getting physically threatening with me and her getting fired. The last thing the owners needed to have around was the cops after all. The best part is I had gotten a job at a retail place not long after as a manager. Guess who was still looking for work and dropped off her application? The look on her face when I came out of my office to personally accept it, priceless. The next story is called Eviction Without Cause. Once upon a time, I was living in a not legal basement apartment of an old Hungarian woman's house. I was poor, the place was cheaper than what was around, so I took it. How bad could it be? Well, she was horrific. At first she was an okay landlady, but then things started to turn. First I noticed that things were off when I got home from work. Ever get that feeling someone was in your room? Dad. So I asked her if she's been in there, and she denied it. Then I set up a camera and caught her on camera. I asked her again and she denied it, saying she's never going in my apartment without telling me. Then I showed her the video and she got mad at me. I worked nights. One time she came in during the daytime and I was there, in bed, naked, under the sheets. I woke up when she came in and asked if I could help her. She said no and left. After that she would call me lazy boy when she saw me, assuming I didn't work since it was at night. Things kept getting worse. She'd sometimes shut off the water when she thought I was using too much or when I refused to share my Wi-Fi password with her other tenant. Finally, one night I had some friends over for a birthday. There were 6 of us total. It was around 11 PM, and trust me when I say we were not being loud at all. We were literally just hanging around the coffee table, eating cheesecake, talking and laughing. She came into my apartment and started yelling that I was having a loud party with too many people in the middle of the night. She actually came and grabbed my shirt, telling me everyone had to leave. Oh hell no, that was it, so I pushed her off of me and the police was called. That Monday she left a really poorly written eviction notice on my door. Seriously, handwritten, telling me to be out by Saturday by midnight. Here's the malicious compliance. By 11:59 PM that Saturday I had all my stuff in the U-Haul. My friends and I were just working on bagging up the trash and other stuff for the dump when she came in and yelled at me that it was past midnight. No problem, I got up and left, leaving a huge pile of junk in the bedroom and storage room. Easily 2 pickup trucks worth of crap I wasn't taking. She actually called my father, who was my emergency contact on my application, to tell me it cost her $400 to haul it all away and that I owed her money. He just blocked the number. The third story is called Micromanaged into More Vacation. I took a new job within my company during 2020 that was 100% work from home, which I was pumped about despite a 20% pay cut. I got an awesome new boss, I'm now a manager myself, and I have a healthier working environment. It is a day shift only job, and I didn't have to make my 100-mile round-trip commute every working day in a car that gets bad gas mileage. All that, plus I get to work the office shifts. Office personnel only works Monday through Thursday, but 10 hours per day, so we get 3-day weekends every week. It's been that way since before I was hired. It's an all-around win despite less money. 2020 was awesome for my working life, but all good things must come to an end. I can do my job 100% remote 100% of the time, but being on site makes 25% of it easier. My department started coming to work for the 25% of our job that really should be done on site. I have no qualms with that, and I'm happy to be back on site for that, since it makes my life easier. That was the status quo for a few months. 2020 has changed many companies permanently in one way or another, for better or worse, depending on the company. My company elected to set guidelines for working from home or remotely as an option for 50% of the time going forward. This will be the new standard, as our company has grown culturally and modernized during 2020. My department director said these company standards were on a case-by-case basis, but the director was going to enforce the new 50% maximum remote work standard for everyone, unless there are extreme circumstances. It was a completely arbitrary decision, and I am convinced was made only to micromanage employees and empower old traditional style managers. Especially since my department can do 75% of our work from home extremely efficiently and effectively. My malicious compliance comes in with my vacation hours and realizing how I can double my destination vacations. Soon after the new work from home rules were announced and it was communicated that they would be stringently enforced on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I cancelled all my vacations on Mondays and Thursdays. I rescheduled all those cancelled days on Tuesdays and Wednesdays following or preceding my already scheduled vacations. I get nearly 5 weeks of vacation per year plus compensation time for anything worked over 40 hours. My new supervisor, who is awesome, approved all the changes I made the same day. I took off every day I was required to be on site and plan on working remotely on Mondays and Thursdays while extending all 4 of my week-long destination vacations already scheduled by 1 week each. I now have 10 weeks of vacation, combined with holidays and compensation days scheduled away from home in 2021, since earlier this year was so busy and I haven't taken much yet. I still have to work on Mondays and Thursdays, but it's a lot more fun to work from the beach for 4 out of 16 days than only be in a given place for 8 days. The last story is called Only with Permission. During 2020, we haven't been able to regularly access our office and have instead had to work from home. Most of my team are field-based anyway, so it hasn't been a huge problem. Next to our main office is a workshop and storage area that is managed and accessed only by my team. We use this to store equipment and materials and carry out some work there. Typically 1 or 2 team members will be there each day, though it could be as many as 5. If staff is collecting and dropping off the equipment, they might need 2 or more visits per day. On the rare occasion that we do need to go into the main office, we have to get permission from our director. We would normally do this a few days in advance, once we had a piece of work that required access. Without this permission, security won't let us in. As the offices are in a city center location, parking is expensive, but our employer will provide it in our own secure car park. To access this car park again, you also have to email for permission. At some point, someone noticed that staff was requesting parking in the car park, but not access to the main building. I was asked about this by the facility manager, as there was a concern that people were trying to get free parking for personal errands and not work. I explained that staff was carrying out work or collecting equipment from the store, and I'd given them permission. I was told that this was unacceptable and only our director could give permission to access buildings. I decided the best way to prove my point was with a little malicious compliance. I did a few checks and saw that there was an almost immediate opportunity. I instructed my staff that they weren't to access the workshop or storage unless they had permission. I said that I knew it was ridiculous, but I had a plan and everything would be sorted within a week. I also told them that for the next few days we would be catching up with all our mandatory training and odd jobs. I told staff if any requests for work came in to ask the customer to call back later in the week and I would delay any new jobs being allocated for a few days. This all happened on a Tuesday. Wednesday and Thursday were spent catching up on borrowing admin and e-learning, and then Friday arrives. I allocate jobs to staff and advise my team that if they need access to the workshop or storage, then they must email for permission, and entering without consent could lead to disciplinary action. I advised that they should wait by the security desk at the main building until permission was granted. A few hours into the day, I started getting emails from my staff saying they've needed access to the store and have emailed for permission but haven't heard back. I advised that they wait. After an hour or so, I get an irate phone call from the facility manager asking me what's going on. I explained that my staff isn't allowed in without permission, and so they are waiting by security, so there are no allegations of them sneaking into the workshop. He asks why permission wasn't granted in advance, and I explained that the work requests had only come in on that day. He explains that the director is on leave and can't grant permission, but he could grant it in his absence. I refused and said that only our director could give permission. I agreed to ask the staff to leave for home and to postpone their jobs. Monday rolled around and I got a phone call from the director. He had received complaints from the facility manager and a few other senior managers about the situation. Thankfully, he realized how ridiculous the situation was and said he'd only agreed to keep the facility manager quiet. It was clear that I had orchestrated the situation, but the director was willing to take the blame for the issue. The decision was reversed and now staff doesn't need permission. One other plus point is that I have stopped receiving email reminders about my team members' training being out of date. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like. It really helps in the algorithm. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.